Next on the programme, we can bring you behind the scenes of an exclusive France 24 report. It investigates hunting cartridges used against protesters in Iran during the Women Life Freedom movement. Now, our reporters looked at how these French-Italian cartridges came to be available in Iran despite sanctions. Here's an extract of the report.
We were just chanting slogans. We didn't smash anything or hurt anyone. We were just chanting. After 10 or 15 minutes, the police attacked. They started shooting.
Hey, that! Hey, modern gender!
He aimed for my eye and I fell to the ground. When I hit the ground, for a few seconds, all I saw was blackness and blood. I heard screams coming from behind me, the screams of my children. I didn't know what happened. I was terrified. There was lots of blood and I was in pain. It was burning. And he kept shooting.
Elahe was hit in the face. Unable to find a doctor in Iran willing to treat her, she came to Europe, where a surgeon removed this plastic pellet from her eye. She asked him to film the procedure so she could one day use it as evidence. We wanted to know more. The France 24 Observers team launched an appeal in Persian on social networks. If you have photos of bullets or cartridges used by the security forces, send them to us by Telegram or WhatsApp. We received photos from around the country. We checked where and when each was taken. This cartridge, for instance, was picked up by a demonstrator on September 28, 2022, at this exact location in the central city of Yazd. Zooming in, you can see the name of the manufacturer, Shedid. Other photos showed cartridges with a circle of stars and the number 12. Another logo used by Shedid. In all, we identified Shedid cartridges in at least 8 different cities across Iran. Shedid is a leading producer of shotgun cartridges. The company says it produces 1 billion cartridges a year and sells them around the world. It is part of French-owned Sofisport, which supplies France's police, gendarmerie, and army. Sofisport is headed by Gilles Roquia. Here he is filmed in 2017, along with French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian, at the opening of a factory for small-caliber ammunition.
Il me semblait que le chemin qui sépare la munition de chasse de la munition militaire n'était peut-être pas, franchement, infranchissable.
We tried to contact Mr. Roquia to ask him how Shedid cartridges ended up in Iran.
Bonjour, je me permets de vous contacter car j'aimerais être mise en relation avec monsieur Gilles Roquia, s'il vous plaît.
C'était quel sujet? Je vous remercie, je transmets votre message à monsieur Roquia. Passez une bonne journée.
We spent months trying to contact Mr. Roquia and his staff by email, by phone. There was no answer.
And Ershad Alijani, who you saw in that report, who's been working on this story for the past 2 years, is with me now. Look, Ershad, thanks for coming in to speak to us today about your investigation. Look, it took you a long time, 2 years to do. Tell us how it started and why it took so long.
Yeah, the investigation actually started when 2 citizen journalists from 2 different cities in Iran sent us 2 photographs of the shotgun shells that were fired at the at them during the protests that they have been collected in September 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We noticed both of them were belonging to a French-Italian company, Shedid. Then we asked Iranians on the social media to send us any photo of any ammunition that they could find that were used against the protesters during the Women Life Freedom protests, and we received hundreds of them. And among we also received photos of Shedid shotgun shells from at least 8 cities in Iran that we were able to verify and cross-reference them. But what took much more time was to find out how it was possible that the Iranian security forces obtained ammunition despite the European sanctions in place since 2011 on Iran that prohibit export of exactly this kind of ammunition, directly or indirectly, because of the human rights violation exactly. First, we found an enormous export of the shotgun shells and its components annually from Turkey to Iran. We found out which company, Yavaş might have exported these shotgun shells to Iran. Then we found out the connection between Shedid and this Turkish company, Yavaş. And while at first we thought Shedid was a supplier to this Turkish company, which is already against the EU sanctions, then we could obtain documents that prove Shedid executives have been in the executive board of Yavaş, and they owned half of this company at least up to 2018. So the dynamic between these companies was not supplier-client, it was a co-ownership, which raised even more questions. And finding all this information and documents in a country as opaque and murky as Turkey was no easy task. We also spent months asking various ministries and Shedid company to answer our questions. Not successful.
Yeah, so no response from them yet. Now, as you say, Shedid did sell this hunting equipment to another company. And indeed, the argument that they made is that therefore they're not responsible. And you know that because you actually were able to record some representatives from the company with a hidden camera. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, the problem is we found that during our investigation, it's a repeated pattern. Iranians were not the first victim of this company, and not last. The same cartridges have been used against the protesters in Myanmar, despite the sanctions on this country. EU, the Myanmar is under embargo of EU for decades. The United Nations, in its reports, pointed at this Turkish company, Yavaş, for violation of sanctions on Libya in 2016. And maybe someone could say that, yes, these are supposed to be the hunting shells, yeah. But if you shoot a boar with them, it dies. If you shoot a human, the result is the same. That's why the EU put exactly this kind of ammunition under embargo since 2011. Even parts of it, the component of it is prohibited to export to Iran, even its plastic sleeves. And again, about the responsibility, there is a legal obligation for these companies. They don't produce pens, it's ammunition. And companies are obliged to due diligence or KYC, know your customers, to avoid their products ending up in the wrong hands.
And just finally, look, your investigation aired for the first time on Saturday. Tell us a bit about the reaction you've had to it so far.
So far, we have received reactions mainly from Iranians, also people here in France, media, journalists, activists, artists like Marjan Satrapi, and victims, sharing our investigation on social media and unsurprisingly, they are furious. They are shocked and that how this could happen for more than a decade. And as far as I can see, they want answers and ask for explanation, which they have been deprived so far. As you mentioned, neither the French government nor the company involved in the story provided any answer, any explanation to people, to the victims, and to the French Iranians also who are looking for an answer.
All right, so still waiting for lots of questions to be answered then from the authorities on this. Thank you so much indeed, Ershad Alijani, there for talking us through his investigation. And you can find the full report by Ershad and our team on our website. The report is called Repression in Iran, Ammunition Made in France. So do look that up.